The VR mod for Halo came out, and I have been playing it all week. You've been playing it all week?
I have.
I would say this is probably the best VR game I've played in 2024, and 2024 has been a stacked year for VR games.
Yeah, I think I've played, like, every game I've played this year has been in VR, and most of them have been ports.
Yeah.
And this is up there probably as the best one of the bunch, and it's come at the very end.
Right at the end, and a bit of a surprise.
I can't believe that the menu itself was what gave me the goosebumps, off the bat. That was kind of crazy. You look at the sun, it's like some kind of screen space thing that's going on where there's like a lens flare, and that works perfectly in VR.
The lens flare blew me away because, in the opening scene and in that menu, you're looking at the halo and the planet, and to the right is the Pillar of Autumn.
Yeah.
In the game, you are locked into a cinematic. In VR, you can turn over to where the main star is, and you see it, and there's a lens flare, and you're like, this was in the game the entire time, and we never knew, and VR unlocked it.
Yeah, that's really cool, watching the cutscenes that I've seen like 1,000 times, and like seeing the different context behind them, like there's something just to screen right that's happening.
I booted it up to test it, and I had a few minutes to make sure it worked before I went to do something else. And I had to turn it off immediately because I genuinely started to tear up, and I was like, I don't want to see any more because I want to feel this properly.
Totally.
So I just turned it off and walked away so I could have a proper hour session where I could just
cry.
Just have that feeling.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. Even though that this is a game that I have played a bunch of times and I know what to expect, I feel like I'm playing it all for the first time again, which sounds like a cliche, but it is genuinely like that. I'm experiencing the game in a way that I've never experienced it before, and it's helping me appreciate something that's just been around for such a long time.
Yeah, like I said, this is the Gearbox port that was famously, apparently, a terrible version of this game.
Yeah.
But this VR mod is so polished that you are just seeing how well Halo is made and designed.
That's right. There's specifically a moment on Truth and Reconciliation, which is it's the first level that you have a sniper rifle with, and you're assigned with attacking these turrets, and you can get on the turrets and shoot them. And as I'm doing that, I felt like it was like a really clunky moment, and I was like, man, the controls for this feel awful. Why does that feel like that? And then I realized that that's the original controls for Halo.
Yeah, that's right. I got the same feeling when I got in the turret of the Warthog. And I realized, because you're in VR, it is intuitive. You are in the game. If you want to shoot something, you just shoot it. You're not consciously aiming. And then when you go back and play the original Halo controls, you're like, oh, this is so much different. Being in VR exposes you forget about all of that side of the game.
Yeah.
And you just focus on sound design and the plotting and the story and the huge scenes that they create in front of you.
Totally. I think specifically just fighting the enemies feels really fun, and that's something that that seems like it's universal regardless of whether you're using a controller or a mouse and keyboard or something like that, or in VR controls like this. It's like they are so fun to fight, and they're very varied.
Yeah.
And the pacing.
The Halo loop is famous in game design, but I found, because I was in VR, I was kind of playing it differently to how I used to play as a sort of a console player.
Sure.
Because I feel like I'm in it, like you just don't get when you're playing on a flat screen.
I suppose not. Well, how would you compare it? Like
I was taking cover a lot more.
Yep.
I was using trees and things for cover a lot more.
Yep.
It felt like I was playing it like I used to, but it just had a different this extra layer of me feeling like I was in it that you just don't get.
It does feel more visceral, like when you're hiding behind cover and you see like all of the sparks from the guns being shot just next to you, and like you can see that kind of passing like literally in front of your face. I feel like that has a whole different kind of feeling to it than if you were just playing it on a screen with a controller or something.
A grenade coming close to you and you just slightly leaning out of the way. It feels very satisfying.
Totally.
Comparing VR to gameplay, I was really curious how they were going to do the pistol and the sniper rifle, because obviously they have scopes.
Oh, yeah.
In the game, it's a full screen thing.
Yep.
So I was like, how are they going to do this? It is an assignable button in the game, and when you click it, it just creates a scope above your gun, and it's It's a dual eye scope, so it's got parallax and everything. So you do actually have to lean in and use it as a proper scope. It's a little circle for the pistol, and then it's a larger thing. Oh, it's still a circle, but it's
still
a
a
little bit
circle.
larger for the sniper rifle.
Yeah.
I found it incredibly satisfying.
Oh, totally. Just using the sniper rifle off the bat felt so intuitive.
Yeah.
Especially because there's two-handed aiming in this.
Yes.
Which I found just had a little bit of jank to it. I don't know how you felt about it.
It definitely, it's got no smoothing whatsoever.
No.
So I pulled out a gun stock for for that level, the sniping level.
Yep.
For Truth and Reconciliation.
Yep.
And when I had the assault rifle, I was using the stock as well, just to see what it felt like. And spoiler alert, it felt really good.
Yeah.
But I think the fact it's got no smoothing or anything like that nerfs the pistol and the sniper a little bit, but in a way that kind of makes the game a little bit more fun. Because when I played original Halo, that pistol was just completely OP.
Yeah.
No grunts, like every grunt was a single shot, where in VR it is a little bit harder to headshot grunts. And with the sniper rifle, same thing. It was so easy as a headshot an elite and just take them out.
Yeah.
But that lack of smoothing kind of makes your shooting a little bit harder, so it does make it...
Yeah.
I think some people might find it very frustrating. I actually found me being less good with the sniper a little bit more satisfying when I did make a shot.
I would totally agree that there's even just having the presence of a crosshair in this, which I'm not used to in VR, made the experience easy to a fault, where I know exactly where my aim is at all times.
Yeah.
Usually in games, I'm having to physically aim using the sights and stuff, and I find that a more rewarding process, even though it is lore accurate in Halo that he would have a crosshair on his heads-up display.
Yeah.
It's great. It really is very, it's one of those things where you're playing it and you're judging it based on existing VR games that have been made specifically for VR today. I think this just proves to me that game design is eternal, and that VR is just a peripheral that you're using to see it.
This is the best VR game I've played.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, I played through all of the Half-Life games most recently in VR. That was my first experience with those games. I'd never played them as a kid. And so I found them an extremely enjoyable experience. So I feel that this is very similar with this.
Yeah, there's something about Sergeant Johnson walking up to say, "Oh, Master Chief, thank God you're here," which is super satisfying, which is why I was really sad when he walked up and I waved to him and my melee kicked in and I immediately killed him.
No, Sergeant Johnson, no. Yeah, I like...
It's traumatic.
I really like that mechanic, and I almost feel like nervous, like I'm coming up towards an elite and I'm like, all right, I'm going to hit this guy. Sometimes your gun kind of flips out a little bit. There's just a little bit of alignment stuff that happens sometimes when you're riding in the thing. It's a pelican. It's a pelican. Yeah. Sometimes if your view is not aligned with exactly where you're meant to be facing, your camera view kind of just does a seizure.
Yeah.
And that combined with some of the driving stuff, if you don't have the strongest VR legs, I think that some of this may be a little nauseating for those kinds of people.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of experience with VR, so we don't kind of feel that kind of stuff. No. But if that's something that you're sensitive to, maybe do a bit of research before you jump in, just in case that's going to be a problem.
That was Halo VR. Like I said, if you have a PC and a headset you can attach to it, get this, try it out. It is relatively easy to set up. There are a few bugs, but nothing, like you will have a good time.
Oh, yeah.
And that first moment of opening the menu, hearing that music and seeing the Halo in front of you, like it is something else.
Yeah. It's great. It's still great 20 years later.
Yeah.
Still hard 20 years later, too. It's kicking my ass.